So, you already had the divorce papers prepared? How about that? I scared you, didn't I? Because I'm ready for this at any time, so you better cool down and reflect about what you just said. With that, my husband, Jackson, got up and went into his room. My name is Camilla, a 28-year-old office worker. I got married a year ago to a man named Jackson. We met at a blind date, and he made his move on me, and we started dating. After dating for a year and a half, we got married. I think it was a little too soon to get married, but I had vaguely thought that I wanted to get married and have children by the time I entered my 30s, so I accepted his marriage proposal. But I realized after that I should have been very careful about these things. The first thing that surprised me was that Jackson had changed his job as soon as we got married. Why all of a sudden? I asked him about it. He said, because I'm not able to show my full strength there. I thought, what the heck, to myself. But he said he had already submitted his resignation letter to the company and was planning to leave at the end of the month. It seems that he was able to change to the job he wanted, but the salary was lower than the one he had at his previous company. I thought at the time that it was okay because I was working too, but the next thing that surprised me was that Jackson kept asking me to quit my job. I would have been fine with quitting my job if Jackson's income was enough to cover the cost of living for 2 adults, but as I mentioned before, Jackson had just changed jobs and his salary was lower. Jackson says his salary will increase soon, but I don't know when that will be. If I quit my job now, we wouldn't be able to save any money and we would be in a really tight spot after paying expenses such as rent and car inspections. To conclude, we won't be able to make it with his salary alone. So I told Jackson I will not quit my job until your salary goes up. Jackson seems to agree, but he keeps on asking me to quit my job periodically, and every time I answer him with the same response. And now we've been married for a year, and Jackson's salary still hasn't gone up yet. Jackson keeps insisting and asking, when are you going to quit? I'm really tempted to say now sarcastically and tell them I'm only kidding and I can't quit yet. If you want me to quit so badly, all he has to do is earn more money. I feel like he should concentrate on his own work before persistently asking me to quit. I once wondered why Jackson wants me to quit my job so badly, and I finally came up with an answer. It seems that Jackson wants me to take care of my mother-in-law, Helen. I just want to make things easier for you, Mom. Jackson would say something like that to Helen every time we went over to my parents-in-law's house, and she would say, "Thank you, Jackson, that's very kind of you." Jackson would then say, "But we're both working so," and he would glance at me. In other words, he was silently pressuring me to quit my job. He says his mother needs to be taken care of, but it's not like Helen was ill or anything like that. Instead, she is in good health and pretty active. She actually earns enough money from her part-time job to enjoy her hobbies, go out with her friends, and live a very happy life. So to say the least, she doesn't really need my help. If I was Helen, I would be depressed that I needed to be taken care of even when I'm pretty healthy. But Jackson still wants me to take care of Helen. Oh, if only one of us were home during the day, we could go check on Mom every day, Jackson blurts out his thoughts. Apparently, he wants me to go over to my parents-in-law's house every day. Although it was tiresome to hear this, I can continue to ask my husband, Helen is still in perfect health, and what in the world do you even want me to do? Jackson says matter-of-factly, there are plenty of things that you can do. You could do the housework for her or go on errands, and there are plenty of things to do to help her. But with Helen's part-time job and socializing with her friends, it means that she won't be at home a lot during the day, right? Even if Mom wasn't home, you could still do the housework, couldn't you? Jackson's words made me question, what the hell is he saying? Then I would just be a housekeeper for her. Jackson just wants to look good in whatever he does, and especially look good in front of his parents. If he wants to take care of his parents that badly, he should go do the housework himself. I didn't have any time for Jackson's petty pride, so of course, I didn't quit my job and I didn't bother to visit my parents-in-law on my days off. But I did go to my parents-in-law's house to visit them during holidays like New Year's. Come to think of it, Jackson often gave me orders when we visited my parents-in-law's house together. He would tell me to clean up, help Mom, see if there is anything that's needed from the store, and so on. But I would never do anything on my own. When I would say about going to the store, "Don't you know more about this area than I do?" he says, "There would be no point if I do it." I don't understand your point. Anyways, it seems like he just wants to make his own wife obey him and feel good about how he's taking care of his parents. Doesn't he? That's how I started to see Jackson gradually. Is it because he just wants to look good rather than actually caring about me? When I boldly asked him, "Why don't you try to help or quit your job to take care of your own mother?" he looked extremely uncomfortable and had a disgusted look on his face. That's not something I'm supposed to do. I'm giving you these instructions so that my mom will think that you're a considerate, useful wife. I hope you realize how kind I am to you. So in other words, he wants to push all the troublesome stuff onto his own wife and show off how good he is, as if he did something amazing. While I am not your servant, slave, or anything else, nor do I deserve to be abused or belittled in front of my parents-in-law. If Jackson keeps on making unreasonable demands on me, I will definitely not be silent but go against him. But Jackson kept on being the same and never changed his stances. He would ask, "When are you going to quit your job?" And whenever we visited my parents-in-law's house, he ordered me to do all kinds of things, just as he had done before. I had reached the end of my patience, so I decided to talk it over with my husband. "What do you mean, talk?" "I thought we should talk about our future. How do you even try to say I'm honestly fed up? I'm fed up about how you keep asking me when I am going to quit my job and try to get me to take care of Helen. Why are you fed up with that? You're my wife, and you're supposed to take care of the husband's parents. Don't he think that it's a big burden for me? Isn't it your responsibility as the biological child to help with the housework and take care of your own parents in the first place? No way, it's the wife's duty to do so. Are you that kind of person who doesn't care about your family? I'm really disappointed that you would say such a thing. Then let me ask you this, how have you been taking care of my parents if I asked you to take care of my own parents? Would you do it?" Then Jackson looks at me blankly. "What are you saying? What should a husband take care of his wife's parents? Does that mean you aren't and won't take care of my parents? The husband's parents and wife's parents are totally different in the first place. What difference does it make? I can't understand." "Ah, I didn't know that you were this clueless. It's like I'm talking to my old boss or something. What are you trying to say?" "I'm saying that the first priority should be the husband's parents, the wife's parents should be taken care of by you, the wife." "What? Theirs." So last means that for him, the only family he prioritizes is his own blood-related family. I'm so disgusted by you. I'm not going to your parents' house anymore. How? Why would you do that? In office enough, I'm the one who wants you to cut the crap. No way, how dare you talk back like that? My mom's right, huh? Mom was saying things about you. She said that you're a badly behaved wife. That's why she gave me this." With that, my husband, Jackson, took out a piece of paper from his bag. It was divorce papers. "What? You already have the divorce papers ready?" I was simply surprised, but for some reason, my husband looked proud of himself. "How is that? I scared you, didn't I? Because I'm ready for this at any time, so you better cool down and reflect about what you just said." With that, my husband, Jackson, got up and went into his room. No way. Why is Jackson so selfish, and that triumphant look on his face? I am sure that the divorce papers are used as a threat in an attempt to get me to obey and do as he says. The fact that Helen had prepared the divorce papers made me think so even more. Jackson is a mama's boy, considering what he has been doing, so he wants to do as what Helen says and at the same time boss me around. You've got to be kidding me. I won't let Jackson do whatever he wants. I mean, why can't he realize that our marriage life is over when he does this kind of thing? Already, his lack of common sense also makes me irritated even more. Jackson had already filled out the divorce papers and handed them to me. The witness column was filled with the names of Helen and his friends, so this means that I could sign and file the divorce papers anytime I wanted to. The next day after last left for work, I filled out the divorce papers and submitted them to the city office. Just in case, I also filed a notice of non-acceptance of the marriage certificate. I called my parents and explained this situation to them because I was sure that Jackson, who had given me the divorce papers as a threat, would say that he would file the marriage certificate on his own. My parents were surprised that I had already filled the divorce papers but were outraged about Jackson's attitude and behavior. They then offered to help me move my stuff anytime. I took a paid leave and had my parents come over and move all my stuff out to my parents' house while Jackson was gone. Then, I decided to stay at my parents' house for a while. For the first time in a long time, I felt comfortable spending time at my parents' house. Thinking back, last didn't do any housework at all. I was the one cooking dinner after a busy day of work, and did all the cleaning and laundry on my days off. On top of that, he wanted me to take care of my in-laws, which was impossible. That night, I received a phone call from Jackson, who must have just come back home from work. Hello? Hey, where are you right now? I'm at my parents' house. Why the hell would you go back to your parents' house without my permission, and there's none of your stuff here? Don't tell me that you're staying the night over there. I almost gave out a laugh. How could he think that I was staying over when I had taken most of my personal belongings with me? He really must be a selfish person to even think that way. I moved out of the house. I'm not going back to your house. Huh? What the hell are you talking about? Come back here and make me some food. Please prepare it on your own. I said that and hung up the phone. I can't even talk to him about how I filed for the divorce if he's going to be like this, so I'll just wait for Last to come here, I thought to myself, and blocked his number from my phone. A week later, Jackson finally got impatient and came over to my parents' house, but he didn't come alone. He had brought his parents with him. All three of them had a grim look. I love the in-laws into the living room, and we face each other as 3 versus 3. How could you be like this? I can't believe you would be gone for such a long period of time without any of my permission. Well, that's because you tried to use me as if I was your housekeeper, right? All I asked you to do was to take care of my family. My in-laws looked grim as ever. Helen was glaring at me. Don't you dare say things like that. You always say in a way that's always convenient for you. You just force me to take care of things that you don't want to do, don't you? I've told you many, many times that that's not what I mean. What kind of wife are you? And Jackson is doing so much for you. Seeing Helen saying bad things about me, my father was trembling. My father would lose his temper if I didn't say something before he could lose his temper. I once again said what Jackson had said to me. Jackson has told me to stop working and told me to help Helen, and that it was my duty as his wife to do so, but for my family, he pushed me to take care of them on my own. In the end, Jackson just wants me to obey him and use me to take care of his own parents and take credit for it. That's why he has been saying things like how his parents are more important or that they are a priority than my parents. But has Jackson ever said such things like that in front of you? Helen was still glaring at me, but my father-in-law, Carter, was looking at Last with a clueless look. Apparently, Carter had not heard this story. Let's just go ahead and spill the tea, and what I couldn't really believe was that Jackson had suddenly brought up the divorce papers and told me that it was Helen's idea. What? Hey, did you suggest that to Jackson? Carter questioned Helen. Oh no, that's because Camilla has an attitude, you know. Love, did you also say something like how Camilla's parents are not the priority? Oh well, that's because it's only normal for your own parents to be more important. Don't be ridiculous. I came to support you because I heard that you were put through reasonable hardships, but as far as I'm concerned, you're the one at fault. Don't be a coward and try to use your parents' power to get what you want. Jackson completely shrinks down. Carter did an amazing job. He said everything that I wanted to say to Jackson, and Carter apologized to us, to Camilla, and to Camilla's parents. I am truly sorry for the trouble my stupid son has caused you. I will strictly lecture them. So Carter, you're not at fault at all, so please look up, and thank you for your kind words, but I still have one thing left to say. When I said that, Jackson asked, "What do you mean?" To me, the divorce papers that you gave me, I've already filed them. We're not a married couple anymore. What? No, no. Jackson and Helen both turned pale. Hey, why did you do that without any permission? You told me that you could file them anytime you wanted to, and besides, you already fill your part of the form and even had Helen sign in the witness box for you. Oh, that was. Did you abolish for what? No, no. Jackson to Carter is fuming with anger. You said that you used it to threaten me. I said these final words on behalf of Jackson. While, how can you be that way? You are so stupid. Carter hits Jackson right on his cheek. Helen is shaken up. What was going on? I sincerely apologize that you had to see that. You're right for divorcing the idiot. I'm truly sorry on behalf of Jackson for destroying your marital history, saying that Carter grabbed Jackson by the neck and said, "You both better apologize too," and made Jackson and Helen apologizes as well. Then, he left the house with them. I have to thank Carter later on. It definitely saved my parents from losing their temper, and Carter made sure that all of Jackson's property went to me in exchange for no alimony since Jackson could not go against Carter. I was entitled to all of our savings and other assets from our marriage while I had a higher income than him though, and I was the one who was running the household, so I had the right to have them. Still, I can only thank Carter for making sure that the entire amount, which would have been split unfairly, went all to me, and I heard that Carter was so disgusted with Helen at what had happened, so he divorced her, and the other day I happened to meet a colleague from Jackson's old workplace. He told me that Jackson was not good at his job at all, and that he was scolded severely by his boss every single time, so as if to go against his own boss, Jackson had submitted a resignation letter and changed jobs. I had never heard that story before, so I was really fed up with Jackson, so Jackson had just blamed everyone around him for his own lack of ability. That's why he didn't get paid at all of his new job, so I'm glad I left him. I then rented a single-room apartment and lived comfortably by myself. Work is going well too, and I just got a raise the other day. Since I don't want to be in a relationship for a while, I would like to continue to devote myself to my job. I knew that he was the type of man who couldn't do his job at all. Once I found out that he was a man who cared a lot about how he looked, he could only maintain his dignity at home and nowhere else. I would think that rather than devoting all his energy to how he looks, he should use it to improve his ability for his work. Still, there are so many scumbag husbands who think that divorce papers can be used as a threat. They think that they are all that, but that's a huge mistake. I wish that these people would get immediately divorced and move on to a life of loneliness. At any rate, I'm glad that Camilla was able to break off their relationship. I hope that Camilla would meet someone wonderful in the future. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and if you're curious to see where this journey takes us next, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss a single update. Your support is what keeps this channel alive and kicking, and every like, comment, and share means the world to us. We've got plenty more stories, insights, and surprises coming your way, so stay tuned for the next video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.